How's it going, everybody? I'm in my living room now. I'm about to go to bed, but I didn't want to go to bed without talking a little bit about how my week has been. I've actually been in the house a lot due to low blood sugar, not eating, and having my period. I know it sounds like I'm being really hard on myself by saying this, but I think if I'm honest with myself, I wanted a reason to stay in. I just didn't want to deal with gang stalkers and their bullshit on top of everything else, because every time I go out, every time I see those people with their cameras and their phones and them trying to play it being a fucking spy, whilst I am getting used to it, it still irks me and makes me feel powerless. And then on top of that, I keep getting bombarded in my head with these electronic weapons. And I'm remembering how my parents used to be. They used to constantly ask me how to spell things, even though both my parents were literally grade A students at school. And by the time they got to my age, they were starting to ask people how to spell this thing and this thing. Their memory started slipping, and their short-term memory got worse. Long-term memory got better, but short-term memory got worse. It's happening to me. I can feel it. When it comes to my readings, there are times where I miss out whole days of posting, and that doesn't normally happen to me. There are times where, when I'm doing a lunar reading, I repeat the same nakshatra all over and over again for the wrong sign. And I have to admit, it has been a combination of sleep deprivation, being bombarded with electronic weaponry on my head, and bombarded with electronic weaponry, sleep deprivation, and lack of food because I hadn't eaten for like a couple of days. So the low blood sugar, anemia from my period, and then on top of that, with with me being bombarded on my head now, all of that is affecting my thinking processes. And it's like I can feel it. It's not even that I can feel it. It's not even that I can feel what's happening to me. I can literally observe it in real time. And I hate it. I can't tell you how much I hate it. I just want to go out. I just want to go out and just enjoy myself and work and fucking perform or whatever. I just want to live a normal life, but there are times where I just cannot be bothered with the gang stalking crap. Can't be bothered with it. That's why I don't go anywhere. And it's just, at least when I'm at home, there's a limit in how much bullshit I have to deal with. That's why, I have to admit, private accommodation is kind of a blessing in that sense, because, there aren't so many people coming around anymore. So there aren't so many people gaslighting you and talking a bunch of nonsense and stuff like that. I mean, my landlord company, or my, the company representing the people who own this place, they stopped a fucking relocation agent talking to me months ago. So I don't have to deal with constantly being gaslit or constantly being lied to, or constant triggering in that way. My neighbours do try to get a rise out of me, but it's futile for the most part. So private accommodation, and not only private accommodation, but private accommodation in Brighton, not even in London, as much as it's been really, really difficult for me, the end result, and I can't even really call this an end result, but the end result, private accommodation away from London, it gives me the most space to think and be myself. And I feel that without that, I would have just been entirely focused on the gang stalking with no end goal in sight, or at least with an end sight that was never going to come about, which, i.e. stopping the gang stalking. It was never going to happen. Okay? So, it's a lot to deal with when you know you're getting older. And honestly, I should really change my diet and change my lifestyle. And I'm trying to, slowly but surely. I am doing it because getting older, my taste buds aren't the same anymore. There's certain things that I used to like lots of sugar, lots of salt. And I eat that occasionally, but it's not bringing me any satisfaction in the same way carrots do, or like fresh vegetables do. So yeah, it's just I can feel my brain kind of atrophying, or at least being temporarily damaged or something, or at least recovering slowly, because the brain heals itself. So my brain is being damaged faster than it can heal by, decades of stress, and, my nerves are going the same way as well because of all the overdoses in the past. And it's like I can literally feel my body not being the same as it was. And don't get me wrong, I am only 36, but I feel like at least 48. Not gonna lie to you. Because of everything that I've gone through with my body and how my brain and body are feeling. I could say that I want this shit to stop, but even if gang stalking stopped tomorrow, there would still be loaded conversations, there would still be people being dishonest with themselves and thus being dishonest with you. Like, it would still be a tough existence for me, I think, even if gang stalking wasn't there. In fact, the fact that gang stalking is real and it exists, it actually gives my borderline personality disorder something to cling to. It makes me realize, it makes all my extreme reactions and my hypervigilance and my paranoia, it lessens the harm that it actually does to me, because, what is actually happening to me is so much worse than I could possibly imagine, or anybody else could possibly imagine. So the targeted individual life, far from forcing me to repress myself, it's actually forced me to do the opposite and express the full range of my emotions. The pain that I've been through, it's actually given me the space to do that. I can't get away with repressing anything whilst I'm being tortured. At a certain point, you just have to let go and you have to express what's going on. You have to let that free. And because of what I'm going through, and because of it, it is targeting and it is fucking unlawful experimentation, and a lot of lies are being told. Like, it gives me the space to be myself with all of this shit happening. Because what the fuck are these people going to do? What, they're going to expose themselves? What the fuck are they going to do? They can cut off my own line or what have you. God knows they've been doing that quite a few times, like cutting off my internet. But then what happens? They've seen what happens when I don't have internet and when I don't have an emotional crutch to lean on. I get better. They can't risk that. What are they going to do? And they've seen what I'm like when I don't have a home. I was glammed up. You saw me. So what are they going to do? Risk me getting better? They're not going to do that. They need to maintain some level of control. And in the meantime, it gives me the space and it gives me the freedom to express how I really feel and what's really going on with me. I don't have to hide anything. I never did. As soon as I found out gang stalking, I should have realised the emotional freedom that would have given me. Because it gave me a lot. It gave me a lot of emotional freedom, you know. And yeah, I know it's, taking a toll on my looks and I've aged quite a bit, but, you know, in a way, the poison turned out to be the medicine, you know. The poison turned out to be the medicine. I only wish that when I was young and when I was fit and when I was beautiful and bright, that I realized that I was all of those things. And I appreciated myself a little bit more. And I realized that, yeah, I was right about the way I was being abused. It wasn't right. It's fucking awful. And it shouldn't happen to anyone. I wish I'd been a bit more selective with my friends. I wish I hadn't clung so hard to people who didn't like me and tried to turn them into fans or people who actually valued me. I wish I hadn't done all that. I wish I'd have realised who I was back then. God knows the amount of things I could have done back then if I'd have realised it back then. And how much further I could have gone with helping targeted individuals now. I could have been a qualified journalist or a qualified psychologist, and I would have been able to actually help TIs. Or, who knows, maybe my qualifications would have gotten in the way of the truth. Who knows? I just wish I'd valued myself more. It literally took me losing all the so-called gifts that this world thought was important. Literally took me losing all of that to realise exactly who I was internally. Takes me having brain damage, having a damaged ass jaw, damaged ass elbow, damaged ass legs and hips and back, for me to realise who I am and who I always was. And no, I'm not a hero. I'm not a villain either. But I am intelligent and talented. I can be kind sometimes, I can be cruel sometimes. You know? But it would be my intelligence and talent that stood the test of time, even when I was debilitated. But if I'd have seen that pain that I was going through back then as not an opportunity for me to be downtrodden, but as an opportunity for me to express my emotions. You see, when it comes to pain, there's some pain that will never give you this kind of clarity because it's just too much. There are some targeted individuals that are going through so much worse than me. They can't be in the position to call their pain opportunity. So I get it. And and my heart goes out to them. But in my case, I've been through just enough psychological pain and just enough physical pain for me to say, yeah, that's an opportunity for me to express who I am fully. When you're in pain, you have the space to express your feelings. When I was younger, I wanted to be in hospital. I don't know why. I was like, and then I remember back to when I was 3 years old. I felt that me being in hospital was the first time that I ever got the space to express myself or to be myself or to be in an environment where I wasn't going to be shouted at just for being myself or abused just for being myself. Of course, 30 years later, it's a different story altogether, but I realised that it wasn't the hospital that gave me that. It was my illness that gave me that. It was the pain that gave me that. It was those things that gave me the room and gave me the space to express myself safely. without having to worry about being judged. If I felt depressed, I could feel depressed. If I felt angry, I could feel angry. If I wanted to laugh, I could laugh. Nobody was going to judge me for that shit. But when people think you're healthy, it's a different ball game. When people think you're healthy and you show emotions and you have that borderline personality disorder, you have borderline symptoms and you appear to be physically healthy, people think you're mad for no reason. And people just think you're crazy. And they tell you so as well. They have no shame in telling you so. So all of this brain damage crap that these people are doing to me and all of this surveillance stuff, even though I don't like to put up with it for any longer than I have to, all these things that these people are doing to me, it allows me to show people who I really am, good and bad, without shame, without guilt, without fear. Because what the fuck else are they going to do to me? What, they're going to cause me more pain? Oh yeah. No shit. So yeah, going through this brain, I went through this torture in my head. I hate pain, but it does give me the room to express myself. And I think that's probably the only thing I ever really wanted in my life, was just a space to be myself, so that I could at least have enough room to actually know what I wanted, rather than being squeezed into a corner where I would want what everybody else wanted, without knowing why. I really should go to sleep. I'm going to go to sleep. My brain is doing strange things. Might as well just sleep it off, see what happens. Oh no, better take a shower before I do it. I've had my shower today, but I feel like if I take another one, that at least then when I get up fresh, Anyway, guys, you take care of yourselves. My fellow TRs, thank you for joining me. Thank you for sitting with me and listening to me go off or whatever. Take care. I love you guys.